Tonight, Christians continue to face the threat of death or conversion in Iraq, all while ISIS militants continue toward their goal in what, by all accounts, is a Christian genocide. With me now, Father Gabriel Ade, Reverend at the Syriac Orthodox Church, and In Defense of Christians Senior Advisor and documentary filmmaker Jordan Allott. All right, gentlemen, brutality that we're hearing about is unthinkable. You've both been in contact with Christians in Iraq. Father, what are they telling you?
Well, what they're telling me, really nothing has changed. The situation is getting worse and worse. People are not receiving any of this humanitarian airdrop food or drinks. They're saying that the water gets blown up in the air before it gets to earth. You know,
so they're
to
not getting
mountains.
the food?
Even the food, they get it as drops on the ground, and they have to go pick it up from the ground, or they have to go lick with the water from the rocks where they fell.
And Jordan, what are you hearing?
We have many contacts in the Mosul and Erbil area, and they've said the same thing, that the situation has been getting worse over the last couple of weeks. There's one man in particular that I've been talking to the last few days, and he's pretty much holed up in his house. A few days ago, he was able to get his family out. ISIS rolled in, took over the town. It's between Mosul and Erbil, and he's stuck there. He's afraid to leave. He's been told to stay in his home. He doesn't have food. He doesn't have water. A friend of his tried to leave and was actually shot on his motorcycle trying to flee the area. So he's very concerned. His family is concerned. What is he going to do? Is he going to starve to death? Is he going to get killed trying to leave? They just don't know.
You know, Father, it sounds like that they're becoming ghost towns because they're telling people to leave or die or convert.
Or convert.
And so Walid Faris was just on. He said something very interesting. He said ISIS is going to start bringing their people into these towns and inhabiting these towns.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that. For the last month, our lobbyists have been telling the world. A lobbyist, a group of lobbyists that are called Demand for Action in Europe. They have trying to raise awareness in the whole world about ISIS and where ISIS is expanding to other towns, other cities, other countries. And yet, it seems to me like the whole world was so silent. Nobody did anything about it.
Reminds me of another time in history, Father, but let me ask you this.
Yes, I understand.
When you hear about children being beheaded, why would anyone do that?
Well, that is not normal. These are not human beings that are committing these crimes. They are barbaric people. They are brainwashed to do something like this against the Christians, against the Syriac, Assyrian, Chaldean, the indigenous of people of this land. I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, the United Nations celebrated the International Day of the World Indigenous People. And Ban KiMoon said that it is the responsibility of the world and the whole nations to protect, to ensure the legal rights of the indigenous people.
No, it seems that that's a problem that a lot of people are not dealing with.
And yet, it took him 10 days
to say it.
To say this, to respond to this.
Oh.
And about what? Who are the Assyrians? Who are the Syriacs? Who are the Chaldean? Weren't they the indigenous people of this land? But
okay.
it took them just an attack on the city of Sinjar, where there are Yazidis there, right, and the Peshmerga who ran away from things, just to raise their awareness, to start speaking about these people.
Well,
listen, I'm not against the idea.
Jordan, the Father raises a very important point. And that's why 170,000 killed. We've got children being beheaded. And yet now all of a sudden we can't turn a blind eye. And that's what Father Ade is talking about.
I'm not against the idea as to why they're helping the Yazidi. That's a great thing. That's a wonderful thing.
Jordan, what do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that our elected officials, the only thing they care about is getting reelected. So we need to, and you're doing a great job of this, but the media in general isn't and hasn't. We need to make people aware, and so that they can put pressure on their elected officials to do something.
To do what?
And so far that
to do what? I mean, you got a president who's saying, I'm not going in until they have a unity government. You know, when hell freezes over, they'll have a unity government in Iraq.
Right. Well, humanitarian aid would be a great start. In Erbil, for example, there are thousands of refugees who are just living in parks and on any green area that they can find.
Children
and they're
are
not being helped at all.
Of hunger and starvation. It is a worldwide embarrassment. Father Adi and Jordan, thanks so much for being with us this evening. All right, coming up, Israel and Hamas accept yet another ceasefire in Gaza. Live reaction next from Jerusalem.